All right, let's clap it up. Shalom, DC, with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, start out 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yahanna. Since 1969, we've been teaching the truth of the Bible, and the truth is that the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the true Jews according to the Bible, and that the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. If anybody is having any difficulties in the online, please let me know in the chat. If you can hear me, just give me a 1. Just give me a 1 in the chat, Baba Shaw. If anybody has any questions online, type your questions in online. We'll get to them. If you have any questions in the class, just let me know. We get to them as well. What we're gonna go into is after just a little over 100 years, absolutely nothing has changed for the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. You ask some so-called civil rights leaders, and you'll say, yeah, we've come a long way. But if you just actually read history, and this is the trouble in our community, the Most High has told us time and time again in the scripture for us to pass down our records to the oncoming generation so that we can remember what all has happened to us. And that's exactly what we do according to the scriptures whenever we come together. You know, whenever we have a high holy day, whenever we have in class, just like this, we're teaching our younger generation exactly what has happened to us so that we can actually remember, because it's been too long since our oppressor, not our oppressor, but our so-called leaders has been telling us we need to forget the past. And we've been buying into that. We need to forget the past and come together, and so that we can actually heal. Now, the only way we can heal is actually remembering what these bastards did to us and separate from those who are doing these very things to us. Because I'm just going to bring out what they've done to us. They are continuing to do to us today. And the parity is there. Like there is no difference except the year. That's basically the only difference that we're about to bring out. It's only the year. What we're bringing out has happened around in the 1900s. Now it's happening in the 2000s. Just about 100 years. The same things that was going on back then. The causes for it, the build up for it, and the results of it is the same. So what are we doing to change our condition from then till now? Only thing that we can do to improve our condition, to better our condition, is to put us on top. We can't put ourselves on top. The Most High has to do that. The only way the Most High is going to even act or budge to do anything like that is if we prove ourselves worthy. If anybody has any kids and their kids are asking them, I want this or I want that. My son wants the Oculus. You know what I'm saying? I would love to get him the Oculus, but he right now he's not worthy to get that thing. You know what I'm saying? He would have to prove himself worthy for me to get him something that he wants. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, why would I get you something when you don't deserve it? Something so precious as ruling the earth. Because if the Most High sends Christ back right now and he puts us on top, we're still dealing with drug addiction. We're still dealing with depression. We're still dealing with molestation. We're still dealing with abandonment issues. We're still dealing with all these things. We don't even know how to talk to each other. We don't even know how to rule our own houses. I saw this is sad. This is real sad. This is sad. I saw a post online where it said this brother killed his girlfriend, killed his ex-wife, and then went and killed himself. And he had a video. He posted it online. It was a live of him going live right after he killed his girlfriend and right before he killed his ex-wife. And when he went online, he was basically, it was only a minute, like a minute and a half. It was less than 2 minutes long. And the brother was saying, he started off something. He was like, I just did something that I can't go back from. I apologize to all the people that, that's going to see this and say some stuff. But everybody knows what I'm going through. Everybody who knows me knows what I'm going through. And the brother went on to explain how his ex-wife is keeping him from his kids. He's going through custody battle with his kids with his ex-wife for his kids for the past 3 years. There's claims of child molestation, so he can keep the kid. I'm not sure if any of that stuff is founded, true or false or anything, but apparently he had his kids with him. You know what I'm saying? Apparently he had his kids with him at this point in time. So it was a custody battle, and it was allegations of according to him, he says allegations of child molestation, and that's why the custody battle was happening, right? And he said that him and his current girlfriend, who was pregnant at the time, got into an argument, and she came out and said, and they had a disagreement, and we all know how women can be. They can say stuff that will cut you to the bone, whether it's true or not. They can't match you physically and physically beat you down. So they will use what they have, and that's their wit, that's their sharp tongue, and they'll say some stuff that because you're pillow talking, you know what I'm saying, that you're pillow talking. So you telling your woman, and this should be a lesson to you. If you have some issues, you need some counseling. Don't come to your woman about that. Come seek counsel from righteous men. You know what I'm saying? Who is not gonna toss it back in your face when motions are high. Why? Because men of the Lord, men of the Most High, keeps their emotions in check. So at this particular point, this brother was having an argument with his rib, and she said, because she knew everything he was going through, she said, even she's pregnant, I am going to do exactly what your ex-wife did. You will never see your kid. You're just going to pay child support, and you will never see a kid. You will never have any contact with him. He was the past 3 years, he's been going through depression because of this issue. And his woman put threw that in his face, and this brother snapped. His brother snapped and shot her in the head. And then he decided, you know what? I can't go to jail. I'm not gonna do the time because of what I just did. His brother got emotional and couldn't control his emotions. You know what I'm saying? If he would have stepped away from that woman at that point in time, things could have been worked out, and she would have been like, you know what? I said some wrong things. I how many times have we been into arguments with our ribs, and our ribs will say some crazy stuff, and then come back like, yeah, I apologize. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? And it may be a short time. It may be some years down the road. But we all had that stuff, that argument, that tension where we talking to each other, and both of us say things that may, even though it may be true, we shouldn't say. And the reason why we say them, because we're so emotional. You know what I mean? And this brother said, I'm going to go to the source of the problem and and he went to his ex-wife, and he was talking all this on Facebook or Instagram, whatever platform he was on, and he was telling them this, and he was like, he was outside his ex-wife's apartment, and he was like, well, I'm just going to end this all today. I'm going to do her, and then I'm going to do myself. And then he was talking, and then he seen, was like, oh, there she goes. There she is right there. And the camera flipped around, and you saw the door close, and he ran after her, opened up the door, and he was like, oh, today's the day. Today's the day. And then the video cut off. Police found her dead body. Police found his dead body. You know what I'm saying? Keith Robinson says Matthew 16:28. Truly I tell you, some who are standing here will not taste death before they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Are the people who Jesus is talking about still alive today? Well, first of all, so you're saying what really is your question? Because you asked, matter of fact, pull that Matthew 16 and 28 for me, Baba Kashaw. I want it to be read from the scripture. And we're going to get to this question, Keith Robinson. Read that for me, Baba Kashaw.
Matthew chapter 16, verse 28. Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here, which shall not taste of death, till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.
Read up 2 verses, Baba Kashaw. Hold on 1 second. Let me get there with you. Matthew 16 and 28. All right, go ahead and read up 2 verses ahead, Baba Kashaw.
Matthew chapter 16, verse 26. For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Verse 27. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works.
Okay, so hold on. Read that one more time. 27, yeah.
Come. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels.
All right, okay, Slack. So in verse 26, he's saying, what good is it if you're gonna gain the whole world and lose your soul in the whole process? Why would you even do that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you try to do some unrighteousness to gain some riches here on earth in this time and in this life when you will be judged by that unrighteousness? And the Most High knows everything. He sees everything. You can't hide anything from the Most High. He's going to judge you according to your works. That's what this verse is saying. So why would you try and gain the whole world and lose your soul? What good is it? You know what I'm saying? Look at the oppressor today. Oppressor has the whole world, right? He has the whole world in the palm of his hand. There is no reach there's no place that he cannot, his influence is not reached. How do I know this? Can you answer that, Pagaiboa? How do we know that the oppressor's reach is so far that his influence is on the whole world, even where places where we don't even think it is? How do we know that?
Because people all over the world follow Christianity.
Yes, even if they're not, even if it's not called Christianity, saying some instances, like for instance, we got Muslims who will celebrate Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Who will go and take their kids, get in line, and put their kids in the line to talk to Santa. Santa, who's by the way gay now, apparently. That's not me. That's what that's what they put out. You know what I'm saying? We got people who don't even speak English and think that God is white. You know what I'm saying? Who thinks that it's that bastard Cesar Borgia. That's how we know how far their reach is, right? Continue on reading.
Verse 28. Verily I say unto you, there be some.
Hold on, read 27, Baba Shaw.
Verse 27. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels.
Right.
And then he shall reward every man according to his works.
So just like you said, so why would you try and gain the whole world and lose your life, lose your soul? The Most High says, do do not fear him that can kill the body and not kill the soul. You should fear him that can both kill the body and kill the soul. Right? So he's saying, he's going to come back and he's going to judge you according to what you have done. There's nothing that he has not seen. Right? And the point I was bringing out earlier was that our oppressor's reach is so far, but yet we have continual wars. We have continual terrorism. We have continual child molestation and rapes and murders in the richest, and poverty in the richest kingdom in all the land. Even in the richest city, there's still poverty. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anybody's ever been to Miami and seen Ferraris and Lamborghinis and race and Rolls Royces go by people in tent cities. You know what I'm saying? It's just meshed in together. All those riches are just meshed in with all the poverty. 9 times out of 10 is us. We're the ones that are impoverished. And it is not just, it's not just us. It's still other nations that are impoverished as well. So these oppressors, they do anything to gain the whole world, but at what cost? Why would you do following those footsteps? You know what I'm saying? If you actually listen to some of these high powered people, these CEOs of Fortune 500 companies and these these people with big bucks and whatnot, they're in a small, tight little bubble. They can't trust anybody. They can't go around anybody. They can't bring anybody around them. For instance, like, and if anybody has seen, and I've heard reports of this before I even seen this, the what's that Michael Jordan joint that came, The Last Stand. You know what I'm saying? That was just based off of the last season that he played with the Bulls, right? Whenever he went to a different city to play, he would get the suite, whatever hotel they were staying in, and that was his place. He could not move from that place because he was so popular. He was, everybody wanted to see him. Everyone wanted to be around him. He could not leave. Everything had to be brought to him. Whenever he played, that's when he left his hotel suite and went to the gym. Other than that, he had to stay right there. He was a prisoner of his own fortune. And that's what a lot of these high-powered, men and women are. They can't. They're a prisoner of their own success, and they get in such a way where they cannot go out and do things a normal man or woman can do. Commander General Yahanna has a lot of success. You know what I'm saying? He can go anywhere he wants to go. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because he did not gain the world and gave up his soul. He kept his dignity and his integrity for his people, so that we can be strong enough to actually listen to the Most High and hear his voice and come in here and change our lives so that we can go out and do the same things for our brothers and our sisters. That's what he was doing to not profit, the world, gain the whole world. I've heard stories about Commander General Yahanna who actually there was some peoples coming in with a briefcase full of money and say, all you gotta do is X, Y, and Z. And he said some choice words and told him to exit my premises. You know what I'm saying? He said some choice words and exit my premises. Why? Because he will not compromise. He will not give up on his brothers and sisters. And if he were to take that chump change, even if it was a briefcase full of money, probably I'm not saying probably some large amounts of money that he has seen in one point in time. You know what I'm saying? Life, in real life, just seeing the money. And he did not hesitate to get that bastard up out of wherever he was, out of his presence. That's the type of man who has integrity, and we need to follow, right? So if Most High is going to reward us for all the things that we do, whether it be good or whether it be evil. You know what I'm saying? So this is the context of what this scripture was talking about. Continue on reading.
Chapter 17.
Nah, go read 27 one more time, Baba Shaw.
Come. Matthew chapter 16, verse 27. For the Son of Man shall come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his work.
Right? Keep going.
Verse 28. Verily I say unto you,
surely I say unto you, this will happen. Keep going.
Come. There be some standing here, which shall not taste of death, till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.
Now, a lot of Christians would like to say that that there is an actual literal man walking the earth, or people walking the earth that was walking the earth with Christ when he said this, and they've never died. That's what Christians will have you believe. You know, they'll say, you know, that's the beginning of Dracula, the undying. When that's not the point. That's not the point. That's not what it's saying here. Like I'm saying, just go back and read what the context of the scripture is. Context of the scripture is us giving up our soul for riches in the here and now, or maybe some little fame and a little notoriety. This is saying, what would we give up for our integrity, for our reputation, for our name? You know what I'm saying? That's basically what he's saying. There's some men who will not taste death. What that is actually saying is they will not. How can I bring this home? Their reputations will be intact. You know what I'm saying? They've built up their reputation so much so that and this is heavy. When I first came into the school, Officer Kazak was one of the brothers who put a lot into me. And one of the things he said was, you know, your reputation in the school, you need to keep that reputation. Whatever you're building on your reputation, and if you're in good standing, you need to keep that. Because once you compromise, or once you do something unbrotherly, or once you slip and fall and do something that is not, you know, one West, that is not of the Most High, it is nigh unto impossible to get back into good standings with the Akim. You know what I'm saying? You know who didn't compromise, who didn't give up his brothers, and whose reputation is untattered to this day? Mattathias. You know what I'm saying? We just had the Feast of Dedication where we remember his efforts. He was so his name was so strong, his reputation was so strong with his brothers that even the heathens had to go to him first to try and get us to follow in the king's orders and disrespect the Most High. You know what I'm saying? Those men did not taste death. Those men did not get their reputation sullied. Why? Because men lived on and retold those stories of what's happening. You know, you understand what I'm saying? So this is not a scripture or a story or an account of saying someone is literally walking the earth who is the same person as it was when Christ was walking. That's what the Christians will have you to believe, and that's not what it is. Take this, we say this time and time again, take the spookiness out of the Bible, and you will actually understand, realize it's talking about real stuff. How many times did we know in the streets, like I've never met, you know, any BMF, Big Meech, but I know who he is. You know what I'm saying? His reputation is what it is. Never met Freeway Ricky Ross, but I know who he is because of his name, his reputation. You understand? There's some big hitters even right here in DC who I've never met, but I know who they are because of their reputation. What you do with your reputation is up to you. You can stay strong. And we was just listen to this. It was a comedian that was saying, something. There was something that because he's from DC. It's something that they used to say way back when, 20, 30, 40 years ago, where he said if they seen you in a fight, where they seen you in a certain situation and you punked up, they're gonna remember that. And all they have to do is draw that punk up out of you. All they got to do is last longer than you because they know that punk is up in you, and you're going to show that punk. You're going to lift your skirt and run. All they got to do is outlast you. You know what I'm saying? Once you gain that reputation, it's high until you can damn near never get rid of the reputation, like that. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what he's talking about. That's essentially what he's talking about. If you had any other questions, just type it in the chat. We're going to get into our topic tonight, and get me that article that I sent you, Baba Kashaw. We're gonna start at the top.
Come. Red Summer of 1919. How Black World War I vets fought back against racist mobs. When dozens of brutal race riots erupted across the U.S. in the wake of World War I and the Great Migration, Black veterans stepped up to defend their communities against white violence.
All right, so what we're talking about here is a time where World War I was just about ending, right? And veterans were returning home from the war. Both Black and white veterans were returning home for war. And they said not just one riot, but dozens of riots all across the U.S. And all of these riots, and this is called, the Red Summer, even though it lasted more than just the summer. It lasted, a few months, and it was riots that were coming out, all over the country. And the common theme, we're going to get into it, of what we're dealing with today. You know what I'm saying? What we dealt with the last couple of elections. And it has a lot to do with Israel. And it's saying, just right here, anybody know what the Great Migration is? You know what the Great Migration is? No sweat. The Great Migration is Israel, blacks, natives, and Hispanics, who was in particular this case, most of the blacks who was in the South migrated up to the North, because this was also the industrial revolution, the industrial boom that America was going through. So it was a lot of jobs and opportunity that was moving from agriculture, because a lot of stuff in the South was agriculturally driven. That was, we were sharecroppers around that time. We couldn't get ahead. We couldn't feed our families. It was always something just to keep us in the red, so that we can actually keep working. The conditions were bad. The economic opportunity was bad. The political environment was bad. Just being Black in the South was bad for us. You know what I'm saying? There was jobs. There was money to be made. We're not talking about fortunes, just enough so that we can have more than one meal a day. You know what I'm saying? And all this stuff was happening in the North. You know what I'm saying? The Harlem Renaissance was happening in the North. And right after that, the Roaring 20s, where, not only oppressors, but Black people were getting money. We were building communities for ourselves in the North. So that's what the Great Migration was. And read that first part again, Baba Kashaw. When dozens
of brutal race riots erupted across the U.S. In the wake of World War I and the Great Migration, Black veterans stepped up to defend their communities against white violence.
So he said Black veterans. That's very key and very important right here. Why? Because we went to fight for a nation that wouldn't fight for us, that wouldn't allow us to eat in their restaurants, even though we shouldn't, because we have better food for them. Right. What's up with our oppressor, yo? Why did we want to eat their food or sit in their places? It was we was listening to this, coming in. Well, it was asking the panel, was like talk radio. It was asking the panel what kind of what's a weird food combination, you know what I'm saying? And this brother who was dealing with the slave master's daughters said that he had apple pie and melted cheese. I was like, man, that sounds like some white stuff. Who in the hell would eat something like that? You know what I'm saying? Who would eat something like that? And then the type of foods that they eat is just putting raisins in potato salad. You know what I'm saying? Just this all sorts of weird stuff that we have no idea that what it is, and that even if we did know what it is, we wouldn't eat it. So why would we want to go to establishments that have serves food like this? That that's bland, that has zero seasoning on it, and that's undercooked. Nah, man. Nah. Why would we want to do that? We were defending, but it took Black veterans to defend, our communities against the oppressor. And the reason why they were attacking us is for the quote unquote American dream. And we're going to read exactly what transpired leading up to the events of the Red Summer. And we're talking about the whole entirety of these riots. We can break down, different riots at different times, but this in each riot had many or all of these parts to leading up to those specific riots. So we're going to keep reading and get some of this in context.
The ink had barely dried on the Treaty of Versailles, which formally ended World War I, when recently returned Black veterans grabbed their guns and stationed themselves on rooftops in Black neighborhoods in Washington, D.C., prepared to act as snipers in a case of mob violence in July of 1919.
So even right here in the nation's capital, right where we are, Washington, D.C., which was formerly called Chocolate City, and I say formerly called Chocolate City, even though officially that's what it's called, it ain't chocolate no more. You know what I'm saying? This is the most gentrified city in the U.S. right now. It ain't what it was, back in the 80s, back in the 90s. Even in the early 2000s, it was different than what it is now. This is one of the places where Black people, the Great Migration, flooded to for opportunity. This is one of the places, and that's why during this time frame, Black veterans grabbed their rifles, grabbed their guns, because they learned how to fight, and they tasted war back in World War I. And the funny thing, it's not even a funny thing. When the oppressor really needs you, he's going to use you. He's going to use you to fight. And the oppressor needed us to fight. It was funny because the once we went over there, the Americans just gave us to the French. It was like, here, here's some niggas. Y'all can use them as, whatever, as help. But do not, and they gave them specific orders, do not treat them as equal, because once you treat them as equal, they're going to come back here wanting to be equal. That's what they told them. And the French were hurting so bad that they put us right there fighting alongside with the oppressors. And us being Israel, having to prove something, we actually went out there and fought hard. won many major awards from the French. The things that would have won us, you know, the most prestigious awards in U.S. military, which is like the Medal of Honor and the Silver Star and the Bronze Star, they gave us nothing. They gave us nothing, but we won those awards because the things that we did, we faced down, you know, death and destruction to save us and our oppressor. We got awarded from other nation, even though they were our enemy, because the Most High calls them our enemy. They still rewarded us for that. So we took that experience and that mentality and that drive for protecting our oppressor, and we went right back into war. But this war was called, you know, was our home. You know what I'm saying? Washington, D.C., Chicago, Philly, New York. You know what I'm saying? Kansas City. Just look up some of these places where these riots occurred. Miami, Okaloo, Tennessee. All these places where Rosewood. You know what I'm saying? All these places where these riots happening. We took up arms because we went out into war. If anybody's ever been in Esau's military, it's not just people from one group from one area that will get grouped up. You know, you'll have a brother from Tennessee, you have a brother from Alabama, you have a brother from New York, a brother from Chicago, and at that time it was segregated, so all the niggas was all in one place. So even still, once we got out, we went back to our communities and we tooled up to defend our communities from our real enemies, not from each other. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
Others set up blockades around Howard University, a black intellectual hub, creating a protective ring around residents.
So we armed up to go against the real ops. Like I said, the real ops was our oppressor. It wasn't us. We didn't arm up to protect ourselves from, you know, gang violence from within each other. We armed up to protect ourselves from mob mentality, mob violence that was real and founded. All we were trying to do was live the quote unquote American dream that they were putting out to the rest of the world. But we were excluded from, because everything that they were putting out to the rest of the world did not apply to us. Because we went and tried to partake in that so-called American dream, and the Red Summer of 1919 happened. You know what I'm saying? The riots that are happening now is the same underlying cause of what was happening back then. Keep going.
White sailors recently home from the war have been on a days-long drunken rampage, assaulting and in some cases lynching black people on the Capitol streets.
Right here in Washington, D.C. Right here. If anybody's ever been around, you know, the U.S. military, knows that they give the military members of the military, whether you're a veteran or still in the military, they give them such high regard when all they do is this. They get off of work, quote unquote work, and then they get drunk and then do whatever the hell they want to do. And because they do it to us, there is no accountability for it. Oh, it's just boys will be boys. Keep that trouble out of here. And a lot of times you'll see accounts where they'll be like, well, there'll be white people, oppressors defending their county or their town or their city against other oppressors, you know, because once that mob mentality is there, it spreads like water. If you spill, you know, water on a table or water somewhere, it'll just continually spread, right? So you'll see some places where the oppressor will actually set a border and be like, nah, you can't come over here. Our niggas are good. We got some good boys over here. They listens to us. We's the massa, and they listen to us. Nah. That's not how, you know, it's not how it is. So these sailors, it's not just sailors, it's everyday regular Joe Schmo blue collar worker who gets drunk and does anything they want to do to the Lord's chosen people, and they get away with it for a time. Like I said earlier in that other scripture, the Most High sees everything, He knows everything, and He's going to hold all of us accountable for everything that we did. And for all these oppressors and all these heathens that are actually oppressing and actually putting the sword to us, y'all got hell to pay. Because y'all, every single last one of you who benefited off of our blood, our, you know, the blood that we've shed in this stinking nation and nations all over the world to build your stinking kingdom, y'all are gonna pay dearly for that. Keep going. So they're lynching us right here in the streets.
The relentless onslaught proved contagious, escalating in dozens of cities across the U.S. in what will become known as the Red Summer.
You guys can look this up. So this is what I'm talking about. If you just spill some water, it's just going to keep going until it pools up. You know what I'm saying? If there's some sort of boundary that is there, it'll pool up, right? Give me some more on this.
The racist attacks in 1919 were widespread and often indiscriminate, but in many places they were initiated by white servicemen and centered upon the 380,000 black veterans who had just returned from the war.
You see how many men that returned from the war that knew warfare, whose mothers and mothers and fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers who they seen get beat in front of them, lynched, threatened, cohorted, extorted in front of them. Now they have means to defend themselves. They're coming back from war where it's like they never left war. You know what I'm saying? They were born into war. They went to, you know, this world war to fight for something, fight for a nation that had nothing, that wouldn't have anything to do for them, and for them to come back and still be in war. You know what I'm saying? And still be in war. But the difference is now they fought and killed. You know what I'm saying? They fought and killed. They had the authority to fight and kill for someone else. And then when they come back and was like, hey, we already know how to do all this stuff. Why don't we fight and kill for ourselves, for our people? You know what I'm saying? They grew up listening to the stories of how they have to be subservient, putting their heads in goddamn barrels when they're down in the cities if they wanted to laugh, if it was around white people. Having some oppressor kick down your door and come in and take whatever they want, and there's no help from anybody. You can't go and complain to anybody. Who you going to complain to? That's their cousin, which is also their wife. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how they get down. Let's get a little more.
Because of their military service, black veterans were seen as a particular threat to Jim Crow and racial subordination.
Right, subordination.
Subordination.
So they're saying, all right, well, they've tasted war and they've tasted blood. It's almost like, you know, if a dog bites someone, they have to be put down because they tasted blood. They have the propensity to do it again. When in all actuality, I'm not talking about dogs, I'm talking about us. In all actuality, we just wanted to be equal to you, to show you that we're worthy. So we went over there and fought your stinking wars. And then when we come back, you hold it against us. You know what I'm saying? You put us out there to fight for you because you needed us. And then when we come back, you say, nah, well, now we got to put you down. When all we wanted to do was feed our family. And a lot of times, even now, when brothers join the military, is for economic opportunity. They want to go to school. and not have that ridiculous $30,000 and $40,000, student loans, and then maybe never ever use that degree that they're actually getting in, or they go for a career path that they want to get into. You know what I'm saying? Or just to get up out of poverty, get up out of Dodge. Why? Because it's so dangerous to be in the hood that they see joining the military and possibly fighting, our oppressors' wars, that it's better to do that. But all we wanted was economic opportunity. All we wanted to do was feed our family. And when we came back, just leave us the hell alone. We didn't want to have anything to do with anybody but our people. You know what I'm saying? They came to us. We didn't go out, saying we ain't going to take this no more. We didn't do any of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Continue on reading.
Indeed, many African American soldiers returned from the war armed with a renewed determination to fight segregation and a near constant barrage of brutality.
Near constant. This is happening all the time, everywhere. Keep going.
A postal official wrote at the time that as far back as the first movement of the American troops to France, the Negro publicists began to avail themselves of the argument that since the Negro was fit to wear the uniform, he was therefore fit for everything else. In Texas, a federal agent reported one of the principal elements causing concern is the returned Negro soldier who is not readily fit back into his prior status of pre-war time.
So what in the world does that mean? First of all, let's break that down just a little bit. So he's saying if they were fit to wear the uniform, they're fit to do anything else, right? There was brothers who was coming back who was proud of that uniform that they had on, who was proud of their military service, that they defended this country. They believed it was their country, but they defended this country. And we got lynched in those very same uniforms just because we wore it by people who was too cowardly to ever put that uniform on. You know what I'm saying? It was too cowardly to put that, to volunteer themselves, to volunteer life and limb. But to see us go over there, be successful, and come back and wear that uniform, they lynched us in that. Let's move on to that next part where he said, we were not readily fit to come back to pre-war times. What they would have you believe was, they had, PTSD or shell shock and whatnot. When really they were saying we got a taste of power. We got a taste of I can hold my head up high and be proud of the things that I've done. And the pre-war times was I dare not look some oppressor in the eye and tell them that they're being, a bastard and a devil. Same thing that we do on these corners every day. You know what I'm saying? We have to be subservient. We have to be low. We have to lower ourselves. Not just mentally, but like physically. If we was tall in stature, we'd have to humble ourselves down, kind of shrink down in the presence of this devil. And this is what they were talking about. Continue on. Let's get some more. Get some of the causes of this.
At the same time, cities across the North were being reshaped by the Great Migration. By the end of 1919, about 1 million African Americans had fled segregation and a total lack of economic opportunities in the South for northern cities. Between 1910 and 1920, the Black population in Chicago grew by 148%.
148% in Chicago. I know a few folks from Chicago, and a lot of them have roots in like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. That's because of the Great Migration. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
Come. And in Philadelphia by 500%.
Man, 500% in Philly. You know what I'm saying? There's an officer in Philly that has that drives around in a specific type of vehicle that is very reminiscent of, you know, brothers in the South. The whole spirit of that vehicle is straight, you know, down south.
Right.
But he's born and raised in Philly. You know what I'm saying? He's a true, you know, up north cat, northeast cat. You know what I'm saying? But his spirit is you know, down south. That's because his family came from there, and they still have that, you know, that feel from the South. That's because of that's in part because of the Great Migration. Great Migration is not that long ago. You know what I'm saying? 100 years. It's not that long in terms of really in terms of time. We there's some of us who as parents who knew a generation before who was part of the Great Migration. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even their grandparents, the generation before, was part of the Great Migration. And talk about, hey, I know this and I know that about, you know, how we had to. It was so bad that we had people just walking from the South up to the North, up to Chicago, up to Philadelphia, walking with their family. You know what I'm saying? Women and children just walking, hopping on trains, trying to get from oppression to a little bit less oppression. There's still oppression up here. How do we know? Because we got the summer of 1919. Keep going.
Come. Creating massive anxiety among white people in northern cities that black people were taking jobs.
What?
That white people were taking jobs.
Who? Say.
Oh, somebody. That black people were taking jobs.
Right. What else were they taking?
Housing. And security from them.
So they were getting nervous. Like, all these niggas is coming up here. They taking all the jobs. They're taking all the houses and they're leeching off the benefits of society. Does that sound familiar? This is happening right now. Presidents have ran and won on this premise right here. The anxiety that caused the riots of 1919, the Red Summer, that caused many of us to get burned and lynched and raped and beaten and murdered and have our businesses and our property taken from us because of us just simply being there. We're taken from the oppressor. When all we wanted was to live the quote unquote American dream. Now, at that same time, there's droves and droves of oppressors coming from different countries coming in here. There was no anxiety from them. You know what I'm saying? There was no pressure or saying, hey, all these immigrants are taking up all the goddamn jobs, taking up all the goddamn houses, leeching off of the system. They're gonna leech off the system. They're not giving back, and they're gonna break the system eventually, and then we'll be a nation of poverty. That sounds familiar? Because right now, after we've warred with another nation, we intentionally brought them over here, gave them jobs, gave them housing, and gave them benefits. What happened to the leeching off of that? You know what I'm saying? What happened to that? Meanwhile, our brothers and sisters whose country this is trying to get back into their country, but now they're in cages and on the border. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because our oppressor has growing anxiety that they're going to take all the jobs, they're going to take all the housing, and they're going to leech off the benefits of this stinking nation. Keep going.
Come. During the Red Summer, massive anxiety became mass violence. Between April and November of 1919, there would be approximately 25 riots.
right? Approximately 25 riots. So, this is all over the nation. It's all over the country where white people, our oppressor, was killing us. Keep going.
Come. And instances of mob violence, 97 recorded lynchings.
Right? Yeah.
And a 3-day-long massacre in Elaine, Arkansas, during which over 200 black men, women, and children were killed after black sharecroppers tried to organize for better working conditions.
All we wanted was the quote unquote American dream. Better working conditions was simply some safety standards where we can, work in peace. Better time, having to work from sun up to sundown. That's essentially how we work in slavery. And living wages. Living wages. We have to work in order to provide for our family. At least allow us to make a wage that we can live. And because of that, because we're trying to come together and ensure our safety, ensure that we can have more than one meal a goddamn day. We're not trying. We weren't trying to break the bank. You know what I'm saying? We weren't trying to do that. We're just trying to have a living wage. Because we tried to organize, they killed over 200 men, women, and children. 200 men, women, and that was just one riot. That was one. Keep going.
Come. The Ku Klux Klan, which had been largely shut down by the government after the Civil War, experienced a resurgence in popularity and began carrying out dozens of lynchings across the South.
So it rose up in white supremacy. When stuff like this is happening, it rose up in white supremacy. Then and now, you know what I'm saying? We now it's the Kyle Rittenhouses, the Dylan Roof Storms. You know what I'm saying? These white supremacists are getting clout. These George Zimmermans. Kyle Zimmer, not Zimmer, Kyle Rittenhouse is a hero. Is a hero in the white supremacist community. You know what I'm saying? He didn't kill any of us. He didn't kill Israel. Which was what he did and what he gained notoriety for was he killed what the white supremacists call traitors. You know what I'm saying? Those people who was protesting and who was protesting were on quote unquote the side of Israel when really they wasn't. Really they do not want to see us on top. It's all an illusion. But to those white supremacists, they seen that as being a traitor. And he killed 2 of them and severely injured another one. And he got off for it. He got off for it. And his reward, he got a internship offer from a sitting U.S. senator. You know what I'm saying? Got to meet the former president of the United States. He has multiple job offers and multiple speaking engagements for what he has done. He is a hero. You mean to tell me the people who was back then starting and led these mob lynchings and these riots weren't heroes in the local community? Like no one knew who they were? People knew who they were. The police knew who they were. The authorities knew who they were, but they were never brought to justice. Not on a scale of it never happening again. Why? Because it happened then and it is happening now. It happened then and it is happening now. Nothing is and the conditions for it are the exact same that has happened then, that is happening now. Nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed. It's been 100 years since the last time this happened. And what do we had in the last like 10 years? We've had riots in the streets. We've had, mobs attacking, us for the same thing. Why? Because a very powerful oppressor said that we're nothing but rapists and gang members and bad hombres, when all we wanted to do was come to an opportunity where we can feed our family in peace. That's all we wanted to do. That's all we want to do. But since you won't let us feed our families in peace, the Most High is going to have to cut your head off. We ain't going to do it. We ain't going to take guns to the street and start, looting and lynching y'all like the way y'all do us. No, all we're going to do is stop eating pork, teach our people to stop eating pork. If a woman is married, leave her alone. Stop celebrating Christmas. Stop celebrating New Year's, Thanksgiving. Treat our brother with respect. Treat our sisters with respect. Teach the younger generation to treat our people with respect. You know what I'm saying? Take the love up off of other nations and put the love up on us. And then Christ will come back and avenge us. That's the only way we're going to get actual, true justice. And once Christ comes back and avenges us, he is gonna put crowns of gold on our heads and put us in positions where things like this red summer will never happen again. It will never happen again. Let's get a little more.
Just a few years earlier.
Hold on. Read that caption. There's a picture. And a lot of stuff like this happens. A lot of stuff like this happens all the time. A lot of stuff like this happens all the time. And there's actually lynchings with children there as well. Read that caption, Baba Kashaw.
White children cheer outside an African American residence that they set on fire in September 1919.
I'm gonna try and get this picture up here so that you brothers, you folks at home can see what I'm talking about. Hold on, let it load real quick. There it is. All right, read a little more, Baba Kashaw.
Just a few years earlier, many young black men had Helson's cause in the world save for democracy and had gone off to fight for America in one of history's bloodiest wars. Now they had come back to a country that recognized neither their service nor their humanity. Having just returned from battle, however, black veterans were not inclined to do small things. Across the country, only their government provided weapons training to defend neighborhoods against vicious white.
So they use their training to protect themselves. They aren't up protecting themselves from the white mobs. And let's pick quick. Is it up? So use, yeah. So you picture right there of outside of a black residence that they had set on fire. The kids set this house on fire. There's other pictures of and they put these pictures like these on postcards and send it around of lynchings where you have men, women, and children just standing around this charred body, or this hanging body, sometime charred hanging body of one of us. And it was like an event. Come and see this nigga get killed. You know what I'm saying? And they put that on postcards and send it to their family members and their friends. Look what we just did. This is what we want to be joined to. These are kids over here, and they're happy at what they did. And their parents most likely praise them for what they did. You think they're teaching them equality? No. We shouldn't teach our kids equality either, because the Bible doesn't teach us equality. How do I know this? Get me Deuteronomy 7:6. This is what the Most High said to the children of Israel once we came up out of Egypt, once we came up out of bondage. It is very important, because when we're coming out of bondage, when we're coming out of slavery, out of captivity, all we know, that's all we knew, was slavery, captivity, of people up over us. He had to tell us that we were supposed to be above every single nation on this earth. And even then, we didn't believe it. Even then, we wanted to go back. We wanted to go back to captivity. We wanted to go back to having it, the way it was. Even though the Most High told us this thing right here. Read what you got.
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people.
Right now, he's talking to the children of Israel. He's saying, thou art an holy people. We are holy. Means we are separate. Keep going.
Come. Unto the Lord thy God.
Until the Most High. The Most High is separate from everybody else. So he separates us from everybody else unto him. Keep going.
Come. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
We ain't special because we say we special. We special because the Most High says we are special. He chose us to be special. Right? Keep going.
Come. Above all people.
Up equal to.
Above all people.
Below.
Above all people.
But they say, all we are is nothing but thugs, super criminals, super predators, drug dealers, dope fiends, and strippers. That's what they told us. But what does the Most High say?
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
That are upon the face of the earth. The Most High said, those are the Most High's words. Those aren't my words. I agree with them. They ain't my words. It's the Most High's words. He says we are above all people. Go back to the article about Rashawn.
Come. Black people form ad hoc self-defense organizations to try to keep white folks from terrorizing their community.
Does that sound familiar? Anybody know what that the Bloods and the Crips was one of these, ad hoc self-defense organizations? The Bloods and the Crips were acronyms. It actually stood for something. I'm not sure what it stands for, but you can Google it up yourself. I'm not sure what it stands for. You know what it stands for?
Blood is a brotherly love overcomes our destruction.
Brotherly love overcomes our destruction, right? So it would, you know what Crip means? Stands for?
Community Revolution in Progress.
Community Revolution in Progress. Each of these organizations was formed to as a protective agent. You know what I'm saying? We had to form these groups that turned in and morphed into something totally different, into what it is today. But originally, it was formed for protection. You know what I'm saying? And at this time, we formed these self-defense organizations like the Black Panther Party. That's what that's what happened and how they became in existence, because these terrorists were terrorizing us in our own homes, in our communities. We couldn't go anywhere, and they were the authorities. If something were to happen, we were supposed to call them for help. How destroyed would we be if we called our oppressor to come and help us from another oppressor? You know what I'm saying? They have no rules, they have no laws, they have no moral code. All they have is the lust of themselves. Right? Keep going in the article.
Come. Professor, says Simon Balto, a professor of African American history at the University of Iowa, the author of Occupied Territory, Policing Black Chicago from Red Summer to Black Power. Black veterans are instrumental in that. Black veterans were a large part of what made the summer of 1919, in the words of historian David F. Kruger, the year that African Americans fought back.
So it wasn't really a pushover. You know what I'm saying? It kind of acted like, you know, if you ever heard of a bloodlust, you ever heard, you know, what bloodlust is? Or have you ever heard of bloodlust? Or blood rage? So it's like it's like what fighters get, you know what I'm saying? When they get blood in their eyes or they see blood, they go into like this, you know, like when it's their blood. Not necessarily their blood. Well, I take that back. A lot of times when they see their blood, their own blood, it like kind of enrages them. It's like seeing like like the description of a bull seeing red. You know what I'm saying? They go into a rage. People who actually have this, right? A lot of times is when they see their own blood, they go into this rage, this uncontrollable rage, and it's almost like they get stronger and faster. And they go out. You know what I'm saying? They attack. They Pagaibawa. You know what I'm saying? But it also happens if they see someone else's blood. You know. So when we were fighting back, it was almost like that condition. Like, how dare you, you know, attack us? And it just enraged, you know, more oppressors to come together and fall on us. Right? So this is what happened. This is what happened during that time. We were actually defending ourselves. We didn't go out and attack them. They came to us looking for trouble, looking for someone to hurt, to maim, to torture, to destroy, to rape, to lynch. And our veterans back then were saying, we're not having it. You cross this line, and we're going to protect us. We're going to defend ourselves. We're going to defend our families. We're going to defend our homes. We're going to defend our businesses. And when that happened, it was like a call to arms for our oppressors, because we're living with, you know, at that time, even now, they outnumber us. They control everything, you know. So it just called to arms, and they just fell on us. Keep going.
Come. This is the country to which we soldiers of democracy return. This is the fatherland for which we fought. W.E.B. Du Bois, a civil rights activist and prominent intellectual, wrote in Crisis magazine in May 1919, a month after the earliest event of the Red Summer, a riot in Georgia where 6 people, 2 white officers and 4 black men, were killed at a church.
So yeah, 2 white officers and 4 black men were killed. So what if you actually read this event, this account, what happened? It was exactly how the way I told you. Our people huddled up in locations where we can defend our people. We weren't spread out over a wide location. So one of the most prominent places, even till now, is the doggone Christian church, right? So back then, what we did was a lot of us gathered in one location, and it was here at this church. The mob came over there, seeing what the hell was going on, hearing that we had weapons. We had weapons to defend against these oppressors, right? And you can read in this it's not necessarily in this article, but you can read about this riot, what started this riot. They shot into the. They demanded us to come out. This is after they started the beatings and the lynchings and the burnings of our businesses, our town, our homes. That's when we gathered in this place so we can defend our people, right? They demanded, they heard that we had weapons in there. They demanded for us to come out and lay our weapons down. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? Yeah, this is what it happened to us. It happened to the Native Americans, and it happens to the so-called Latino peoples, right? So they told us to come out, lay down our weapons, or else, right? We was like, respectfully decline. It was like, no. We told them no, we ain't laying down our weapons. Why? Because if we lay down our weapons, there is nothing from stopping you from coming in and doing to us what you have always done to us. You know what I'm saying? Ain't that what happened with the brother from in Minnesota? He had a legal weapon, right? Legally, he went through all the trouble to get his weapon legally. Had the license on him. Brother, the he was with his rib. His rib got stopped. Told him what he had. The officer drew down on him. Like for what? First of all, he shouldn't even been drawn down on him. You know what I'm saying? He told him, "Hey, I have a weapon. I am legally licensed to carry, and I have my license on me." He drew down on him and said, "Okay, give me your license." He went to go and get his license. He shot him up in front of his wife and his kid. You know what I'm saying? That happened 100 years ago. It's happening now. So it was like, why in the hell are we going to give our weapons to you when you can just do whatever the hell you want to us? At least now we have a fighting chance. You know what I'm saying? We can actually defend ourselves. It was like, you don't want to give us your weapons? No problem. They lit up the church. They lit it up. They shot and killed some men, some people in the church. And you know what we did? We shot back. We fired back. And that's how those two officers got killed. We didn't start it, but we defended ourselves in that time. And that's how that particular riot started. You don't have to believe me. You can go look up that history. This is our history. You know what I'm saying? This is very recent history. 100 years really isn't that long ago. We may not see 100 years, but 100 years is not not that big of a span of time, really. And the same thing that happened back then is the same thing that's going on right here, right now. We want to stop, all of this from happening. Hold on. Finish out this paragraph if you could, Baba Kashaw.
But by the God of heaven, we are cowards and jackasses. If now that the war is over, we do not marshal every ounce of our brain and brawn to fight a sterner, longer, more unbending battle against the forces of hell in our own land.
And our own, yeah. You understand what I'm saying? But I get their frustration because Ecclesiastes 7:7 oppression maketh the wise man mad. We need to remember this oppression that they are putting on us so that we can renew our fervor to fight our oppressor. However, the right way, the correct way, the way the Most High told us to do is to follow his laws, statutes, and commandments, and he will avenge us. All this, they were right to defend themselves. They were right to pick up arms and huddle together and gather themselves together. That's what the scripture also says. Also, Zephaniah 2:1, gather yourselves together. O nation not desired, gather yourselves together. And they defended themselves. That was righteous. That was righteous. But in the way that we gathered, that, you know, they said they gather every ounce of their brain and to fight. What they came up with was Martin MLK and desegregation. It's not the way. Akim, Akwathium, that is not the way. We need to separate totally from our oppressors, totally from the heathens, and lean only unto the Most High, only unto his law, statutes, and commandments. Otherwise, we'll be in the same condition as we are right now. We'll be in the same position, begging our oppressor for equality and justice for what they do to us, and receiving nothing of the sort. And with that, pass the class to Trooper Pakaibawa. All right, read the announcements.
Security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yahanna. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shut themselves up the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which a brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Means tenth in Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocation. Is Purim, the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month. Monday, the 14th of February, and Tuesday, the 15th of February, 2022. You can find this in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verses 20 through 31. Remind Akim and Akwathium to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you should start wearing all black, which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black headband, or scarf. With that, I say Amagin, which means sustain. We'll give one courtesy salute to the teacher. Amagin Shabbat. Amagin. Barak. Yahba Hashem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yahba Hashem Yahushua Barakatham.
Yahya Matan. Class dismissed.